Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicta, and I'm feeling busy in a good way.
And I'm Benedict. Today is February 7th. This is episode number 169, and I'm feeling joyful.
Joyful? That's not...
Joyful, yeah.
You don't use that feeling that often. What is making
I checked the feelings wheel and decided I'm feeling joyful today.
Yeah.
Well, for one, we're trying this fun experiment of live streaming this recording session, which might or might not work out at all. But the other thing is the sun's out, the sky's blue, and I'm just super happy that it's nice weather for a change. And I know some people complain about podcast hosts talking about the weather to get the conversation started, but I'm genuinely excited about the weather today, so bear with me.
I mean, as a Northern European, like this is important stuff. Like if the sun is out or
especially
not,
in winter,
it's a game changer. It's a game changer. I've been biking all around town today, and I wouldn't say it's great weather, but I had so much fun biking on snow because I'm in the center of Oslo and we don't really have any snow. And then I was picking up this snowsuit for Lillian that I bought used, and it was like way up like, I wouldn't say the hills of Oslo. And there was so much snow there, so I was like biking, and trying to not fall down. So that's why I stopped and had a little bit of a relaxation at a coffee place right before we were streaming. So then I had to jump on my bike, and I was really hoping there wasn't that much ice going to get home, because otherwise I would have been way late for this recording. But it's always good to get out and feel the weather, whatever it is.
Yeah, totally. I had to go downtown earlier today for an appointment, and on the way back I took the long walk home from the station just to enjoy the weather and the sunlight. And it's pretty cold. It's like -2, something like that. But with the sun, it's so much nicer.
I feel we should do an episode where we focus more on that, because I saw that Justin Jackson, co-founder of Transistor, again was talking about how they got a co-working space downtown, and he gets to walk back and forth every day, and how important that has been for his mental health. And I felt similar when I started my contracting gig last week, where I have to go downtown to the harbor of Oslo, and I just yes, I came home happier because I got to bike down there. I got to bike up. I got to lunch with people. I got to, discuss, have some fun, check out their roof terrace, and all of those things that has nothing to do with work, really. But it just kind of makes everything more joyful. And it's easier to forget that when you work on your own project, on your own, remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 weeks ago, I visited. I was downtown Frankfurt for a meetup, and it was the first meetup in years. And at first, I was like, whatever, meetups. I don't really care. It's just a waste of time. But turned out it wasn't. It was a lot of fun, just meeting people and talking Ruby, and checking out the fancy rooftop terrace as well. And,
rooftop terraces, it's a thing.
Totally. So yeah, I kind of miss that, but also just having a good work setup at home also has its perks. It's also quite nice to not have to commute somewhere, but I guess I have to make it more of a habit to actually go out for a walk every day. And I used to do that last winter and last spring more regularly, but I always used to do it in my lunch break, more or less. And that doesn't really work anymore, because our front-end developer, he starts his work usually when I would usually go to my lunch break. Usually we have need some syncing, at least on Mondays. And I was thinking earlier today that maybe I should do it like this, where the first thing I do after getting breakfast is just get outside and go for a walk, no matter what, and then start my day working on stuff. instead of trying to cram it in between and then get it like messed up by stuff that's happening or being too focused to actually take a break.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
trying
that
to.
happens from time to time as well.
That's what I'm trying to do with the yoga. Like, I realize if I get it done as soon as I get up or as soon as Lillian is kind of off to school, then it gets done. Otherwise, I'm like, oh, I can do it in,
Yeah.
in a break. And suddenly I forget to take breaks as well. And it doesn't happen. The problem here, though, it's so dark. So you don't really want to go out in the morning. But now it's getting later, though.
It's better.
But yeah. But see, now we spend 10 minutes talking about the weather and getting out of the house. But important stuff.
For sure.
So I, just to jump right in, Twitter is starting to charge for their API usage come Thursday. Not that we have any information about what the pricing will be or what it entails, but it's going to happen in 2 days because we're recording on a Tuesday. So I'll be live streaming my reaction to the pricing on Thursday's pirate stream. Hopefully there is some.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Hopefully there's going to be some information by then. Personally, I don't really mind paying if it's within, I would say if it's below $50, I can pay a little bit every month to get proper access. Maybe even we'll get some extended limits because we've been hitting rate limits with the Twitter API all the time. And I'm talking about this, concerning our little tool Pruner Follows. And I've gotten a lot of concerned messages from people. It's like, oh, what will this mean for Pruner Follows? And, or what will this mean for your startup? And that's mostly from journalists, though. But I'm like, it's not a startup. This is a side project. I would never build a product that I thought was going to sustain me, money wise. I wouldn't build something that is that connected to Twitter because I know they can do whatever they want. So the way we monetize Pruner Follows is that we sold it as a sponsored project to Seda, who paid us to build it and kind of share our process and also share our experience with their tool working on a real world project. So we monetize it completely differently than by trying to make it kind of pay for itself. We have thought about, monetizing or charging users a little bit to, as a future thing or as an exercising in exploring again, how do we best, what would a good payment model be? And it would create content for us again, content we could write about subscription and Stripe and stuff like that. But I never imagined it to become our bread and butter.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough call to make. What really, where the platform risk really struck me was a couple of weeks ago when Twitter pulled the plug on all the third-party Twitter clients, and where they basically wiped out a whole category of mobile apps with one decision, one night, without even telling people. I guess all of the companies kind of survived, but they basically lost their primary revenue stream over a weekend, which is horrible. So platform risk is definitely a thing.
I think, because I saw a tweet from Michelle Hansen, who used to be the co-host of Software Social. Software Social. I think they're on the break. And it was like, don't build your house on somebody else's lawn. And then I clicked it and there's a thread. So she's been saying this since I think the first one is 2017. And I don't remember exactly which platform it was, but Facebook wiped out a whole category of apps when they changed their API rules. And then Amazon even will, if you do really well on Amazon selling physical products, they will just make it as a generic brand Amazon product because they know all of, they know all the data. They know what sells and who buys it and for how much. So they can then just look at the data and be like, oh, this is a product we could make fairly easy. And then they'll just make it and promote themselves in search on Amazon, and your product is just gone from search, because they really own that lawn, or that, I would say it's not even a lawn, they own that country, or empire,
planet.
And then there's also I've also known that, if you do a Shopify plugin, if you do a Trello power up, all of these ways, it's a way to make a product, and it's a valid way to make a product, but you have to be mindful that the rules might change. And so your business plan kind of has to take that into account. And I think it's a little weird when people, I get that you get mad because right now Twitter is giving us a week. And as you said, the other one, they were just like pulling the plug. But I'm not surprised.
No, not really.
So it's a good way to kind of get started building products. But if you want to like live off your product for ever and ever, then
yeah, I guess that's a good starting point. But like one of the first things you do is like you should do is like look elsewhere and try to diversify or like reduce the platform risk. And I guess it depends a little bit on like what platform you're building on and stuff like that. But in the end, you never know, right? They can all change the rules or change limits or just cut you off, and you'll never know. Like, well, hopefully you know ahead of time because they tell you and are nice about it. But as we just saw a couple of weeks ago, it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. So yeah.
And when I Googled, because Prune Your Follows was in TechCrunch, and I was going to Google, or I was like going to TechCrunch to see if it was published, and I searched for Prune Your Follows, and there was actually another product that was mentioned, I think from like 2017, something like that did a lot of the same things that Prune Your Follows does, and it got shut down because of violating the Twitter API rules. So what they did was that, like, you could have a whole category of people you follow, and then you could batch unfollow them. And that was against the rules that the user will have to like select. And I think they made it work with having a default unselected, but then you could do select all. And that was enough to kind of be within the rules.
Right.
But then Twitter kept kind of blocking them in different places. And in the end, they realized they couldn't build a business on top of this API or these types of features.
Yeah, makes sense. What I also think is interesting is I think platform risk is also a thing with all the dependencies you rely on to build your business, to run your business. And for example, with UserList, we're not specifically building on any one platform, but of course, like we heavily rely on a couple of things. For example, the email service provider we're using to actually send the emails. We are kind of at mercy with their decision and their rules and limits and stuff like that. And one thing we did early on was just be super careful that we don't build a too strong connection of our product with their APIs and depend too heavily on their stuff. So in theory, it's still independent enough that we can move elsewhere without much effort or without a lot of effort, specifically effort from our customers. So we can migrate providers without our customers doing anything. And that's always been one of the things I had in mind while picking platforms or while building the stuff, that let's not assume all of them stay around forever for whatever reason. So I think it's always a thing when you build on the internet, especially these days when we rely on so many providers to do stuff for us, where we're not hosting our own servers in our basement anymore. It's becoming a little bit difficult or potentially a problem if we don't think about it.
This is a story of all my side projects. Like the only reason they've ended up being shut down is because the services that they are built on top of do not exist anymore. And
right,
I kind of put them to the side, but as long as if they would still run, they would still run because it didn't cost that much to keep it running, which is, I guess, is why all of the services end up not existing anymore because they don't charge enough.
There might be something.
Might be something there. I do though I have some project running on Netlify that I haven't built in like 7 years, I think. that still just like get served and are running, which is kind of fun that they're, you know, I don't do, it's like I don't do anything. They just keep on going. If I was going to try and build them again, I'm pretty sure things would break.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that Arvid Khan, is that his name? Arvid Kahl or Arvid?
Kahl.
Yeah, he in his book he wrote about platform risk and how you might, you know, the first version maybe you're pretty connected to them, but then pretty fast that you should create a little bit of your own interface towards some of these services so that you are ready to migrate to another service when that time comes. However, though, it seems like we're all pretty heavily dependent on Stripe. Like if Stripe changes the rules tomorrow, how easy would it be for Userless to change payment provider?
That's a good question. It will definitely be painful. I don't think it's impossible. I mean, we'd probably have to ask people to re-enter their payment details, but I think we could, in theory, move elsewhere. But yeah, you're right. The ties to Stripe are pretty strong.
And we love Stripe because they were they were the little guys. They're not the little guys anymore. They are becoming
not
Amazon.
Anymore, no.
You know, they're not fully Amazon, but they're getting pretty big. And
they're pretty close.
Yeah, they're pretty close, and they can pull the plug on you pretty easily, and without getting through to support. Because I guess that's one of the big issues here. It's like I can't I haven't even tried, but like I can't get to talk to Twitter. Like there's no way I can get through and like ask them what's up, what's happening, like what should I do? The same thing the last times I've been trying to talk to like would need anything from Stripe. You're not like getting through to proper support.
Yeah, that's true. And the sad thing is that it keeps happening, right? I'm starting to read from more people who got locked out of their Stripe account, or not necessarily locked out of their Stripe account, but where Stripe is refusing to do business with them or for them anymore, and that's tough.
Should we just leave it at that?
Yeah, I guess.
It's tough. But I think it's tough. And but I don't know, in some way it's harder. In some way it's much easier to be a little provider these days. Like you can make your own SaaS and there are tools in place to make it go faster and you can do it alone. But also you end up being at the mercy of other companies.
Yeah.
And even with POW, like I got locked out. Like the site got locked out by Chrome or some virus software or somebody trickled through the internet flagging my site as a dangerous site, and suddenly nobody was allowed to access it without me doing anything illegal. It was just like a preemptive. I think I realized it was like a virus software or like one of these AI like it was an AI that flagged it as potentially malicious, and then that kind of trickled through the whole internet and made it so that Chrome and Explorer and most of the browsers would show like a big, huge red warning, and you would have to be like, I'm certain this is a safe site to get in. And then that ended up giving me strikes on YouTube, and I think even you strikes on YouTube because we'd referenced or somebody else at least mentioned, because if
it wasn't me, but
because if I had links from my description, of course, to POW in my videos,
right?
So then those got community strikes because they were referencing or like sending people to that site. And I ended up getting out of it by like, flagging everywhere that, this is not dangerous and it's me and hello, and getting other people to mark it as safe. But it just shows that if I was making a competitor to somebody large, like it seems like it could be quite easy to get somebody just kind of taken off the internet in a way.
Yeah.
Which
it's so easy to run into these issues, and then where basically you're the small guy fighting with the Goliath, and you're at mercy of whatever they decide to do, right? Yeah.
Don't make enemies is what we're saying.
Well, it is, yeah. And hope for the best, I guess.
Anything else up?
Anything else? Let me think. So we launched a new blog redesign last week. So after figuring out how to get our static site generator to work the way I want it to be, and like kind of monkey patching it to behave the way I want it to be, the rest of the work was super easy. And we have a new blog up, the blog design up, have the new article design up. We even built like one of those fancy table of content things that show the progress while you're reading it and stuff like that. It was just fun to build, and I think everyone's proud of the new design and just enjoys it. And so that was the big project of last week. Then again, I'm also shopping around for a new email provider for reasons I just kind of alluded to. Our current provider is fine, I guess, but our email volume is increasing month over month, and we are running into more limits with our current provider. They, of course, have like rate limits on the API and stuff like that to protect themselves from spammy customers. But yeah, we're running into those more often these days. So I'm looking for either upgrading them, like upgrading to bigger plans and stuff like that over there. But at this moment, we are at the biggest self-serve plan already. So,
you don't want to go over to the enterprise plan?
Yeah, that's the big question. Like, we should either go over to the enterprise plan over there, or what I'm also doing is like looking at other providers and jumping on demos and sales calls with other providers, which might be better suited. And we're talking to one that's kind of interesting. But again, I feel like it's my first time of an enterprise sales experience where we had a sales call last week, or a demo call last week, where there was no demo, but just like a lot of questions of what we need and explaining what's going on. And then we have another call this week to actually do the demo. And then we probably have a third call to actually talk about pricing. And I don't know, like, it feels like it's pretty involved. And I'm like, just tell me the price and give me the API docs.
You're talking to a developer here. You're not talking to another enterprise person who wants to sit in meetings and discuss.
I just wanna get this going and see if this works or not. So I don't know. Let's see. So far things are looking really good, and I'm excited about the feature set. But we'll see. I keep everyone posted. So that's that. And then the last exciting thing I want to mention this week is I will be speaking at a conference this year, and I'm going to be at the Rails SaaS conference in Athens, Greece, at the beginning of June. And we'll be talking about it's not entirely decided yet, but probably about the reporting engine we're building these days and the challenges that come with that. And I'm super excited. For one, because it's going to be a great conference. I'm sure about that. It's going to be an exciting topic. But most importantly, my co-founder will be there as well, also giving a talk, and will be the first time we meet in 4 years, something like that. Last time we met was like October 2019, so it's been a while. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's it from my side.
Maybe I should just book a trip to Athens.
Yeah, maybe.
not
Again.
not that interested in rails, but it's a cool city. So, and there's probably going to be more cool people in town. But
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
But like, I think tickets are on sale for the conference, and it's not that expensive. I think it starts at $249 per ticket. So it's actually pretty cheap for a conference.
Yeah, that's pretty affordable.
Yeah.
I guess it's because if it's the Rails SaaS conference, well, there are some large SaaSes, of course. But if you want, like, the people running their own businesses, you can't only have enterprise pricing, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like
but then again, a MicroConf ticket is like,
oh yeah, that's true.
It's like double or triple the price of that, and
true.
people still come. So
yeah, that is
who knows? I mean,
who knows? I just feel like some developer conferences, it's like, they're priced because there's an employer with a lot of money paying.
Right. I guess, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's anchored more towards like a regular Ruby conference, because those are usually a little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like super community based or like community organized and like not for profit in a way.
Yeah.
So if you compare it to that, then I think it's a reasonable price. But if you compare it like a businessy MicroConf type conference, or even like an enterprisey developer conference, it's super cheap.
Yeah. I guess it all depends on who you compare the pricing to. It's like that price anchoring, right? It depends on what you're comparing it to, if it's cheap or not, or expensive or not. So on my side, I started that contracting work last week, and it looks like I'd be working on a little app within a very big app, but they call like each feature an app. And it seems like I'll be working on the spending and budgeting app of this bank. So I don't know yet what I'm allowed to say or not, but it it seems like they have a very open culture. So I'm going to be there 2 days this week as well. And there's going to be workshops tomorrow. So I'll be asking how much I can share, because it's definitely kind of an application in itself. So it would fit well under the, build in public umbrella. I'll build a product in public. I'll just won't make money off of the product, but I'll make money off of making it.
Right.
But I think it's really cool. Like, I think it will fit me very well, because it's more, it's definitely, there's the designer, and there's going to be another developer, and there's a product owner and stuff like that. But it seems like it's a very collaborative culture, and so there would be more of product development. Like, it's not only going to be ready-made Jira tickets that are super specific and just asking me to like do that one thing and just do not ask questions. Let's just do it. Type situation. So I think I'll have some possibilities to actually make some contributions on how it's going to be, which is really cool, because this is, it's my bank. So so projects, I'm going to be using it because it's my bank.
Yeah, nice. But I guess it's a lot, like, projects like that are a lot more fun when you're actually contributing, and when your opinions are kind of valued, and you're not just a code monkey typing in the characters in the editor to make it work like someone else imagined it to work, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense, this is just super weird, or like, this implementation is way more complicated. If we only took like, or made this one change, it would be so much easier. So I'm glad it's not one of those projects.
But then also, in a way, like, I was looking forward to that, because I was just going to go into work and not think, just like, pick a task, just like type in the editor, and then head on home, and then think about my own project. But also, I know that wouldn't have been fun for a very long time. Like, that would have been fun for a limited amount of time. So I think this fits me quite well. And because then it becomes like one of my projects. It just it's got a different setup, but it's like one of the projects I'm working on. And I do enjoy having several projects to work on, instead of just working on one. So it's kind of, it's all coming together. Also, I think there's going to be some good content coming out of this, if I'm allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Very
difference
nice.
when it's like, oh, so who's using your product? Like, oh, I don't know, a couple of people on the internet, or like the Norwegian people, which is basically
All of Norway.
all of Norway. I wouldn't say it's all of Norway because it's not governmental, but it is the largest bank. So,
Right.
and they just bought the next largest bank, which was my bank. So now I have to use this bank. Like they're
I
merging.
see.
Yeah. So they're gonna again be the largest bank. And it used to be the only bank, I guess, way back when. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, that's it from me as well.
Yeah.
Nothing else to add this week.
Other
This was
than
fun.
don't build your house on somebody else's lawn.
Yep, exactly. Well, actually, in Germany, I think, yeah, it would be stupid. Yeah, it would be stupid. Yeah, because then the one who owns the land owns the house.
Well, see, this is side note. So my summer cabin is built on somebody else's lawn or land. And that was quite common in Norway, or I think all through Scandinavia, where people were allowed to build at least kind of winter cabins and summer cabins. I think also some like some like permanent resident houses too. But and it's called something specific. And you were allowed to build your house on this land, and then you kind of rent the land, and you pay on a yearly basis. And this was and this was very common, and then there's lots of laws around this, but people like things might change. Because, so there's like I don't know exactly, but like the people that own our land, where the summer house is, they want us to buy the land because they don't really want to just like bill us. I think it's like a couple of $100 a year. I can't remember exactly. It's like very cheap. So they want us to buy it, but they want us to buy it for like a lot of money. And we're like, we don't want to buy it.
Of course.
and then there's like a lot of rules in place to protect me, the renter, and not the landowner. But, if governments change, this might change where the rules again will favor, not again, but will favor the landowner and not us kind of land renters. So yeah, I have a house and somebody, well, I didn't even think about that until you said it, but yeah, I have a house on somebody else's, like a physical house on somebody else's lawn. And yeah, it will be interesting to see where that takes me in the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, we see. At least it's just a summer house and not your permanent residence.
Yes. And also, luckily, these things change a lot slower.
Yes.
Than people who own internet businesses like Twitter.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I guess
that was a nice detour.
Nice detour. But I guess that's it. I'll see you around the interweb.
Yep. See you. Bye.